In my last video, I drew a rusted sword to represent a weapon in poor quality. But what would that sword look like if it went through some refinement? Well, you'll need to keep watching and hit that subscribe button down below to find out. Okay, so at the start of a game, you get stuck using your default sword, whether you collect it out in the wild or your character already has it. And the progress you made so far with using that same sword is great, but you feel the need to use a much stronger weapon. Fortunately, as the story progresses, you're able to do so, whether by buying a new one or strengthening the one you have. Kind of like what I'm gonna do for this sword right here. So sit back and watch how sword refining is done with just a paper and pencil. As you can see, I got the rusted sword here from my last weapons quality video. You can watch how I drew that later, if you're new to the channel. But for today, I'm using it as reference for the blank column under the word common. Now, first, I need to recall the measurements I used in making the last sword. And, like before, I have them listed in the bottom right corner, in case you guys at home want to try drawing it yourselves. Yeah, I admit it, I'm jumping back and forth to make it look perfect. But come on, there's something wrong with a little accuracy now and then. Especially when it comes to art, that is. With the filler and color just about done, we can erase some unneeded lining. But it doesn't seem like that part's worth keeping on film, so why don't we skip that? And there we go. Now, you're probably thinking that I'm just drawing a cleaner version of the rusted sword. Well, yes. Originally I considered doing that and just go straight to the coloring. But then I thought of how boring it would look if I just drew the same design as before. So, I'm going to fix that. Starting with increasing the length on the blade's point. The last one looked a bit stubby if you ask me. Not much was done about the fuller, by the way. All I did was erase the part closest to the point, and maybe do something with the shadowing later on. Now for something that's more complicated, like the sword's crossguard. I say that it's complicated because it's more in tune with using perspective. A lot of precision involved when it comes to knowing what line goes where, if you ask me. But let's just see where I can go from here. Okay, I'm not liking how small the guard looks right now, so I need to increase the width before I can move on to anything else. But how's about I time-lapse this to make it less boring? There, good and even. Well, sort of. Now it's time to add a little something to make this sword's new form rather special. You may recall games with gem slots that help deliver additional damage during fights. You know, things like burn, freeze, shock, even poison, which is always a classic. And it seemed interesting to include this in a weapon of common quality, so why not? Next thing we'll be working on is the sword's grip. I've noticed in a lot of references that the sides are seen curving inward. Not sure why that is, but I think it's to keep a firmer grasp when dueling. And finally, we move on to the last piece of refinement, which is the pommel. Not much to say really, except that I give it a more cubic-like shape. Figured it's a step up from the sort of pentagonal look it had before. Wait, hang on. I should add extra detail to the grip just to be safe. Looked too much like one of those salt and pepper grinders you see waiters holding in restaurants. And here it is, the rusted sword refined to a common adventurer's sword. But don't think this video ends here. because now it's time to work in both the lighting and the shading. Although, instead of just drawing it in, I'm going to map out where the light and the shadow will be placed first. Alright, with the shading for the blade done, let's move our attention over to the grip. But this time, I'll be coloring in 2 different shades of brown on the leather. Now onto the blade color and gem slot, which of course, I went for something more gold-like. For the crossguard and pommel though, I decided to keep them both gray for now. Sure, the sword looks brand new compared to its old form, but I thought it'd be alright to leave behind some familiarity to it. Okay, now the sword looks a bit better in early game standards. Not something worth showing off, but you know it's more durable than the last form, especially when fighting monsters that you come across, that is. But anyway, I am really proud of how this sword turned out, and I can't wait to show you guys what I have planned for its next form of quality. Although, if you want it to come soon, I highly consider that you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we are this close to hitting our first goal of 100 subs, and I can't wait for that to happen. But if you're still in need of more content, let me recommend this one over here. Trust me, you'll love what you'll see once you watch it from start to finish.